Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera and salam Malaysia Madani. Distinguished guests, Excellencies, Honourable Ministers, esteemed heads of delegations, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. This session will mark the first public engagement of the newly endorsed ASEAN Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap and the ASEAN Plan of Action of Energy Cooperation, or APAEC 2026 to 2030. The two documents serve as a guide for the ASEAN member states in charting the way forward for our energy transition and cooperation. Endorsed by the 43rd RMEM and announced yesterday with the presence of the Honourable Datuk Sri Anwar bin Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, this session will mark a new chapter of the ASEAN energy cooperation with our dialogue partners. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dato' Ingenieur Technologist Razib Daud, Executive Director of the ASEAN Centre for Energy, to address the session with a policy speech to unveil the ASEAN RE Long-Term Roadmap and the APAEC 2026 to 2030.
Thank you, Madam MC. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon to all of you. Yang berhormat Tuan Haji Akmal, Nasrullah bin Muhammad Nasir, the Deputy Minister of Energy and Water Transformation of PETRA, Malaysia. Excellency Josh Wilson, a Member of Parliament and Assistant Minister for Climate Change, Energy of Australia, and Excellency Helen Fazay, the Ambassador of the United Kingdom to ASEAN, an excellent Puan Marina Mahfuz, Deputy Secretary General of PETRA, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We've been keeping this secret under the wrap, and luckily, thanks yesterday, the ministers meeting have signed off and approved this plan of action, our next blueprint for the 5 years starting 26 to 2030. And also the ministers have approved our long-term RE roadmap. So I'm going to share with you those plan. So I'm pleased to share that the 43rd ASEAN Ministers of Energy meeting, AMIM, has concluded with a key endorsement for our future energy cooperation. So the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, or Blueprint, or well known as APAEC, for the next 5 years, starting 2026 to 2030, will shape our future as the regional blueprint for our energy cooperation. But also important is the ASEAN Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap, which supported and guided the developments of the APAEC for the next 5 years. Next slide, please. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the ASEAN Centre for Energy, or ACE, or the Centre, has published last year the 8th Energy Outlook as a regional guide toward the future of our energy sector, endorsed by the last year meeting of the 42nd AMIM. So the Outlook showcased the potential economic growth of our region, which is coupled with the rise in energy demand. Indeed, with efficiency, we can reduce some pressure to our energy system without jeopardizing a just and inclusive growth. Next slide, please. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the ASEAN Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap is how we have extended the outlook to support ASEAN energy transition. As we develop the roadmap, we were guided by the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, adopted by the leaders at the 46th ASEAN Summit here in May this year. The roadmap hence aims to be the sectoral long-term guide for the ASEAN member state in managing our shared energy future. On the technical levels, the roadmap serves as a unified regional framework that translates ASEAN high-level renewable energy ambition into a coordinated and implementable actions. It provides clear pathway for how our region can move together toward a sustainable and low-carbon energy future. So that framework, ladies and gentlemen, is the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation. It is the regional blueprint of the ASEAN Energy Cooperation developed for the next 5 years. In developing the APAEC with the APAEC Drafting Committee, so the ACE provided the roadmap as a benchmark and potential pathway for the regional energy transition. For the roadmap, we have developed and modeled 3 key scenarios that illustrate ASEAN possible policy pathway or direction. So these scenarios provide policy funnel, narrowing down path, and sharpening up necessary action and discussion for renewable energy and beyond. Next slide, please. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, so the multiple pathway provide ASEAN with multiple options to grow our economy through a secured and sustainable energy future. Our RE share in the total primary energy supply, or TPAS, can be more than double by working together as a region through the APG, or ASEAN Power Grid, and Regional Renewable Energy Certificate Framework. Indeed, both the APG and REC, or REC, are part of the priorities under current Malaysian ASEAN chairmanship in 2025, in which ASEAN is committed to continue to develop. However, a bit of different story can be observed for the installed capacity of renewable energy. Under the APAEC scenarios, with the current state of our energy and climate-related policies, ASEAN is expected to see a considerable jump in our installed renewable capacity. As the expected growth is already very promising, regional cooperation will still add to the share, but in less considerable amount. Similarly, for the energy intensity in ASEAN, the APS provide a promising reduction by 2030 and all the way to 2045. But what does it mean to our energy cooperation? It means that the power generation aspect of our energy is the right track for decarbonization and growth. Our power generation is undergoing transition, and the interconnectivity through the APG has been doubled down, but more cooperation is needed to decarbonize the whole energy system. Biofuels, low-carbon buildings, transport, and many other components of our vibrant energy system will require more and more regional cooperation to be decarbonized and grow our economy. Next slide, please. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the primary takeaways from the roadmap that supported the developments of our APAEC 2026 to 2030. And through the roadmap and these themes, ASEAN has committed to this, I call it formula 30, 45, 40. So 30% share in our total primary energy supply, or TPAS, and 45% share RE in our installed capacity, and 40% energy intensity reduction from our 2005 baseline. Next slide, please. Not only it is a collective future-looking ASEAN, so the APAEC, the next APAEC, is also committed to continue the good progress made under the previous or the current APAEC, which is end this year. So the 7 programs areas under the previous APAEC are still being kept and expanded. Key notable changes on the oil and gas connectivity, security, and sustainability, which has expanded the vision of the Trans-ASEAN Gas Pipeline, or TAGP, and kept it as a key strategy under the new programs areas. And the CCT, or Clean Coal Transformation, has also been expanded. So the clean coal technology as a program area to promote a responsible and low carbon coal value chain, aligned with the ASEAN carbon neutrality aspiration and technology innovation in emission reduction. Indeed, the remaining programs areas have not gone through title change, but considerable expansion of its role, ambition, and shared vision. Collectively, so these 7 programs areas form the core architecture of the ASEAN Energy Cooperation Framework. It ensures that our region remains secure, sustainable, and forward-looking in its path toward a cleaner, a greener energy future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately I will not able to share how each program area will shape our energy future in detail without keeping you for too long. But the center, or ACE, understand the strategic importance of the APAEC and every single detail matters for our shared futures. For that, the center, next slide please, the center will organize a deep dive roundtable series to provide you with the detail of each program areas to be delivered directly by our key expert. We will convene in Jakarta in December this year for an invite-only roundtable series organized directly by the center. So I welcome you to register your interest for more information this session, those QR code. With that note, thank you. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Dato' Razib Daud, for the insightful policy speech on the ASEAN RE long-term roadmap and the APAEC 2026-2030. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite His Excellency Tuan Haji Akmal Nasrullah bin Muhammad Nasir, Deputy Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation, PETRA, Malaysia, to provide his remarks. A round of applause.
Terima kasih kepada saudari pengurusi majlis. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Insinyur Teknologis Razib bin Daud, Executive Director of the ASEAN Center for Energy. Very insightful presentation just now. My dear colleague, Your Excellency Josh Wilson, Assistant Minister of Climate Change and Energy of Australia. I call him dear colleague or dear friend because he just followed me on Instagram. And I just follow him back, so become my dear friend. Your Excellency Ambassador Helen Faizi, UK Ambassador to the ASEAN. Puan Marina Mahfuz, Deputy Secretary General of Ministry of Energy Transition and Water Transformation, or PETRA. Mr. Mario Marisigan, Assistant Secretary of the Department of Energy, DOE, Philippines. Ivana Dimitrova, Southeast Asia Regional Lead of Energy and Industrial Decarbonization. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. It is a great honor to address this gathering today at such a pivotal moment and of strategic importance to our region, the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, or APAEC 2026-2030, and the ASEAN Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap. This initiative reflects not just our collective ambition, but our shared belief that ASEAN's strength lies in unity, cooperation, and our commitment to a sustainable future as regional solidarity in the face of global energy challenges. In yesterday's speech by our Prime Minister, he has clearly expressed our achievements in this year's meeting, including some key outcomes. Among other things, together, we have endorsed, for example, the enhanced Memorandum of Understanding for the ASEAN Power Grid, as well as ASEAN Power Grid Financing Initiative. Such dedicated platform will mobilize green finance, bankable projects, and accelerate cross-border investments on land and subsea alike. But going back to our focus today on APAEC, it has stood as the cornerstone of regional energy cooperation for the past 2 decades, guiding us through the evolving challenging of energy security, sustainability, and accessibility, and it represents ASEAN's spirit of solidarity, a framework that connects our national priorities into one coherent regional vision. The new APAEC 2026-2030 marks another important chapter in this journey, and among its key outcomes is the endorsement of bold new regional targets. Basically, I'm trying to simplify what Datuk Razif just presented now, which are 40% of reduction in energy intensity, 30% share of RE in the total primary energy supply, and achieving 45% RE in installed power generation capacity by 2030. These targets are not merely numbers, they are a clear statement of ASEAN determination to lead the region toward a low-carbon, secure, and inclusive energy future. The new plan of action will serve as ASEAN's policy compass for the next decade. It provides clear pathways to expand renewable energy, enhance energy efficiency, and strengthen regional interconnection. Importantly, it also places inclusiveness at the heart of our transition, recognizing that while our member states may be at different stages of development, we are all moving forward together, ensuring no one is left behind. And indeed, ASEAN is developing this regional action plan based on the concentrated effort of ACE to outline the potential pathways of our energy transition through the ASEAN Energy Outlook and the Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap. It provides us with a good standing to ensure that regional planning is grounded into a scientific knowledge provided by ACE as the regional energy organization. As the enemy of ASEAN countries, we understand that the energy transition is not only about technology or policy. It is about people, opportunity, and fairness, ensuring that the shift towards clean energy also creates jobs, reduces inequality, and empowers communities across our region. This is what makes ASEAN's approach truly meaningful. Therefore, I call upon all our ASEAN partners, dialogue partners, and development agencies to continue working hand in hand with us to share knowledge, mobilize investment, and build capacity so that together we can turn ambition into tangible progress. Through APAEC, we reaffirm our shared responsibility to secure affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all ASEAN citizens, and let us continue to move forward with determination and solidarity, accelerating decarbonization while ensuring a just and inclusive energy transition for every member state. Thank you. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, His Excellency Deputy Minister of PETRA, Malaysia, for that wonderful speech. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as ASEAN is embarking on a new chapter of its energy cooperation, it is only appropriate to commemorate the occasion with a long-standing dialogue partner of ASEAN. Indeed, dialogue partnership of ASEAN with our closest partners holds a strategic significance in supporting the journey of ASEAN towards a shared energy future. With that, I would like to invite Her Excellency Helen Fuzzy, Ambassador of the United Kingdom to ASEAN, to provide a congratulatory remark for ASEAN on its successful endorsement of the ASEAN RE Long-Term Roadmap and the APAEC 2026 to 2030.
Yang Berhormat Tuan Haji Akmal Nasrullah bin Mohammed Nasir, Deputy Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation of Malaysia, Your Excellency John Wilson MP, Assistant Minister for Climate Change of Australia, Puan Marina Mahbuz, Deputy Secretary General of PETRA, Mario Marasigan, Assistant Secretary of the Philippines Department of Energy, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to represent the UK at the launch of the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation today. And I'd like to express my congratulations to the ASEAN Centre for Energy and all the ASEAN member states for bringing forward this vital development. ASEAN and the UK are approaching our 5th year in dialogue partnership, and as we've deepened our cooperation on critical issues, on peace and security, on economics and trade, it's been clear that the shared vision of a cleaner, greener economy driving sustainable and inclusive economic growth really underpins our partnership. Southeast Asia is set to contribute more than 25% of growth in global energy demand over the next decade, and ASEAN is going to need 5 times the current level of investment by 2035 to achieve its climate goals. So it's important that we're clear. Clean energy is not a brake on development. The region's green transition provides significant opportunities for growth of up to $300 billion by 2030, according to some estimates. In the UK, we have cut carbon while growing our economy. We're in the 2nd year of coal-free power, and my government is stepping on the accelerator to fully decarbonise our power sector by 2030. This clear mission on clean energy has attracted record levels of private investment. The launch of the new ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation is a significant moment in ASEAN's just energy transition, which we are pleased to be supporting through our ASEAN UK Green Transition Fund. The Plan of Action gives direction to the end of this decade, and it draws on evidence of the opportunities of a cleaner, greener economy for ASEAN. The enhanced MOU on the ASEAN Power Grid, also signed this week at the ASEAN meeting of energy ministers, is a strong signal of the political will to achieve all that. So I just want to conclude by again saying congratulations and terima kasih. Thank you.
Sama-sama. Thank you, Your Excellency, for the remark. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite His Excellency Josh Wilson, MP, Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy of Australia, to provide a congratulatory remark for ASEAN.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, MC. Allow me to start by acknowledging my newest Instagram connection, the Deputy Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation, Akmal, and of course, Executive Director of the ASEAN Centre for Energy, Dato' ETS Razib Dawood, Ambassadors, Excellencies. I'm Josh Wilson, Australia's Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy, and it really is a privilege to be here with you all. I want to begin by thanking Malaysia as ASEAN Chair and of course the ASEAN Centre for Energy for bringing us together this afternoon and for each of you for making time to join us. Since becoming Australia's Assistant Minister for Climate Change and Energy last year, I've had the pleasure of engaging with a number of ASEAN countries, and I've seen the incredible work you're doing to transition your energy systems. As ASEAN's first dialogue partner, Australia deeply values our long-standing partnership, and we remain wholeheartedly supportive of the region's clean energy transition. ASEAN's ambition to deliver secure, sustainable and inclusive energy for its people aligns completely with Australia's own priorities, as reflected in our Southeast Asia Economic Strategy to 2040. I warmly congratulate the ASEAN Centre for Energy and ASEAN member states on endorsing the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation 2026 to 2030 and the ASEAN Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap, which settled yesterday. These are landmark frameworks, and they reflect ASEAN's leadership and collective commitment to an interconnected, low-carbon and resilient energy future. And while, of course, there are challenges before us, we know there are also incredible opportunities. And Australia has been proud for a long time, and we continue to be proud to work with ASEAN to accelerate the energy transition across our region in a way that supports secure, sustainable and inclusive growth. We're committed to supporting the development of these frameworks with policy inputs and support from our $204 million Oz for ASEAN Futures initiative and our $195 million Partnerships for Infrastructure program. But our work certainly doesn't stop there. The ASEAN-Australia Energy Cooperation Package is focused on ASEAN's priorities for clean energy connectivity and resilience. It includes support for ASEAN Power Grid to enable cross-border power trading and to strengthen regional energy security. And Australia's $2 billion Southeast Asia Investment Financing Facility is unlocking finance for clean and renewable energy infrastructure across the region. Friends, we have every reason to be optimistic and even excited by the transformation that is occurring both in Australia and across our region. We are embarking on an ambitious climate and energy agenda, and as Deputy Minister Akmal rightly said, we're doing that on the basis that it should benefit everyone and that no one should be left behind through this transition. Last month, Prime Minister Albanese submitted Australia's 2035 nationally determined contribution to the UNFCCC with a target to reduce emissions by 62 to 70% on 2005 levels. And that ambitious but achievable commitment is underpinned by our new comprehensive net zero plan. The truth is that the road to the point we've reached has not always been smooth in Australia, but we're prepared to share the lessons that we've learned and to benefit from those lessons in the region. As a federated nation, we've had to find a way to integrate or manage electricity systems across 6 separate states and territories, and that's not unlike the challenges faced by the ASEAN Power Grid, although of course here the need for subsea cable interconnections does make it more complex. As a nation that has been deeply reliant on fossil fuels, we've had to navigate both the politics and the economics of transitioning to greener, cleaner energy resources. And experience tells us that constructive, optimistic and focused cooperation is the key ingredient to navigating that transition. And that's why Australia will stand with the region every step of the way. We will walk forward hand in hand with our regional partners as we undertake this shared endeavour. We feel encouraged by the extraordinary opportunities to collaborate with our ASEAN partners during this defining era. Allow me once again to thank Malaysia for its steadfast leadership this year as ASEAN Chair and acknowledge with gratitude the ASEAN Centre for Energy for playing a vital role in regional policy stewardship. Assalamu alaikum, terima kasih, thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I kindly invite Your Excellency to remain on stage for the next part of this agenda, which is the photo session. To join His Excellency Josh on stage, may I kindly invite once again His Excellency Tuan Haji Akmal Nasrullah bin Muhammad Nasir, Her Excellency Helen Fazli, UK Ambassador to ASEAN, Puan Marina Mahfuz, Deputy Secretary General of PETRA Malaysia, Under Secretary Mario C. Marasigan, CHESO 3, Department of Energy Philippines, and Bapa Benny Suryade, Senior Manager of APAEC and Strategic Partnership for ACE. Unfortunately, Dato' Ingenieur Technologist Razib Daud, the Executive Director of ACE, has to depart the hall to being called by the RMM Chair. But nevertheless, the show must go on, and we'd like to invite our Excellencies and VIPs on stage to prepare for the group photo session together. And for this, we'd like to invite to give your biggest and warmest smiles for the photographers, please. And there we have it. Thank you, Your Excellencies, for the time and appreciation to the new chapter of the ASEAN Energy Cooperation. We thank the Deputy Minister of PETRA, Malaysia, for gracing our event today and your endless support and work towards the energy sector. Thank you once again to His Excellency Tuan Haji Akmal and our distinguished guests for joining us on stage for the group photo session. Ladies and gentlemen, we're announcing the departure of His Excellency Tuan Haji Akmal Nasrullah bin Muhammad Nasir, Deputy Minister of Water Transition and Energy Transformation, PETRA, Malaysia. Thank you once again to His Excellency Tuan Haji Akmal for gracing our event and once again your endless support and work towards the energy sector in Malaysia and throughout ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving to the panel discussion session. This discussion will bring more life to the APAEC 2026 to 2030 and the ASEAN RE long-term roadmap. Our speakers today have been working for the advancement of our energy cooperation for decades and are ready to share their thoughts with the audience today. Without further delay, I would like to invite Puan Marina Mahfuz, Deputy Secretary General of PETRA, Malaysia. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to our panelists, Under Secretary Mario C. Marasigan, CHESO 3, Department of Energy, Philippines. Ms. Ivana Dimitrova, Southeast Asia Regional Lead, Energy and Industrial Decarbonization of the British High Commission in Singapore, UK FCDO, and Bapa Benny Suryadi, Senior Manager of APAEC and Strategic Partnership ASEAN Centre for Energy, as our moderator for today's session. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over the floor to Bapa Benny Suryadi.
Thank you very much, our MC, and it's a very honor for me to have the opportunity to take the stage, moderate the last session of the ASEAN Energy Business Forum, which is also our primary session to introduce to the public our major document that being endorsed by the 43rd of the ASEAN Minister on Energy meeting yesterday, which is also commensurate by the PMX in the launching of the AMEM yesterday. As mentioned, that we have three panelists on the stage, that three people who are really driving the energy transition in the ASEAN's region. We have Puan Marina Mahfuz from the Malaysia. We have Mr. Mario Marasigan from the Philippines, also next chair of the ASEANs. And then we have Ivana, my dear friend, that have been collaborating and cooperation supporting the ASEAN Center for Energy and Far East Energy activity. Let me proceed with the discussion, and we ask everyone to learn more that how ASEAN going to drive our energy activity for the next 5 years. Allow me to start with Puan Marina. So under the theme of the Powering ASEAN, Bridging Boundary, Building Prosperities, Malaysia ASEAN Chairmanship has commended the advancement of our energy cooperation in multiple ways, as highlighted in the many agenda of this week. So Puan, would you please share more with the audience that we have today, how ASEAN has collaborated to develop this regional blueprint? We have the ASEAN APAEC 2026-2030 and the ASEAN long-term roadmap toward regional energy security and interconnectivity in the future. Puan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to all, and Salam Malaysia Madani. Before I start giving my views, first and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to ASEAN Center for Energy for giving the opportunity for Malaysia, especially from the Ministry, to also participate in today's evening session. Well, as you correctly mentioned just now, Benny, actually under the energy sector Malaysia chairmanship, we are guided by the theme of powering ASEAN, bridging boundaries, building prosperity. And we have been working collectively to develop our new APAEC. This is all a concerted effort from all the ASEAN member states. And I can assure you, actually, it's not an easy journey, and it's not an easy task, actually, to come out with a document that is very strategic, that it can be considered as our blueprint to chart our way forward for the next 5 years in the energy sector. So, this APAEC Phase 3, or I call it as an APAEC 2026 to 2030, actually is developed through an inclusive and consultative process, which ensuring that every member state national priorities are aligned under one regional vision. And we are focusing in terms of expanding more on the ASEAN Power Grid initiative and improving energy efficiency, and also strengthening innovation, strengthening and digitalizing the infrastructure, especially the grid. And also we are also introducing a financing scheme, incentive that can be given to our industry across our energy system. These are few of the things that we have been introduced under the new APAEC 2026 to 2030. So complement to that blueprint, actually we able to develop also our RE long-term roadmap, because the RE long-term roadmap is actually to increase more renewable energy into our energy mix. That is the ultimate goal of the RE long-term roadmap. And I believe the roadmap will serve as complementing to the APAEC 2026 to 2030. So these are the what we call it as a goal, or what we vision by all the ASEAN member states to achieve by the year 2030. As we rightly hear just now from the Deputy Prime Minister, I think some of the targets are quite ambitious, but we believe as an ASEAN, unity and solidarity, we believe that we are able to achieve the targets by the year 2030. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you, Tuan. As I said, there are many accomplishments that being made under the chairmanship of Malaysia. It's time for celebration, but it's also, I pass it to Mr. Mario, that we have a few minutes for celebration, but then gearing up to the next chairmanship of the Philippines. So many things that being accomplished this year, right? I mean, to be 8 annual priority, all of the 8 is being fully accomplished. But then, as we adopt the new document, we are gearing up to the next action. And we look forward to the Philippines ASEAN chairmanship as well in 2026. So how do the deliverables and achievement that are being made this year by ASEAN under the Malaysia chairmanship can be continuous and shape the Philippines preparation for the next year?
Thank you very much for the question, but please allow me to first greet everyone. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So with regards to your question, I would like to express also the Philippines' appreciation to Malaysia for the outstanding chairmanship and leading the way in coming up with these 2 blueprints that we are launching today. Of course, the Philippines will take this opportunity, a big opportunity for us to push forward all the initiatives that we had within the ASEAN region. In fact, the Philippines as an archipelago would want to take advantage of the different roadmaps, particularly, or among others, the subsea connection program, because that deals also with our inter and intra-island connection. So that will help us a lot. So therefore, for the Philippines, taking advantage of what were started by Malaysia will definitely enhance and provide the direction for the next years, which will be guided by three principles. One, it's fully informed policy direction and strengthened regional commitments. And of course, we have to strengthen our connectivity and integration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yusek Mario. And then I go with Ivana that you've been hearing the two documents that being launching. ASEAN, Puan Marina and Yusek Mario mentioned that ASEAN is advancing our effort toward a more interconnected region to achieve energy security and transition target. So how do you see the role of the ASEAN dialogue partner, particularly from the point of view of UK, in supporting ASEAN to achieve this vision?
Thank you, Benny, and afternoon, everyone, and thank you for staying with us on a late Friday afternoon and paying it. I see audience is paying attention. Before I start, let me add my congratulations to Malaysia Chair this year. I think it culminated really well yesterday when Prime Minister Anwar called the ASEAN Power Grid the crown jewel, the crown jewel of cooperation in ASEAN. So that is a really big testament to a lot of the work Malaysia has done, and I'm sure the Philippines will continue soon. And maybe if I may add a personal history, before I moved from London to Southeast Asia, the ASEAN Energy Outlook was the very first document I read, and APAEC was the fourth one. But let's change this, and I'm hoping, and now I will add the RE roadmap to my reading list. I'm very curious to see as well. And that really helped me understand ASEAN as an institution and the ambition, and I guess the role of a dialogue partner. And compared to Australia, the UK has been a fairly new dialogue partner. We've been a partner since 2021, but I can speak to the energy transition and why we see this as important to have a dialogue. Because the energy transition is not linear, it's very complex, and at the same time, it's kind of messy. But all of the countries are in it together, the UK, ASEAN members, and we all have the same objectives. So keeping the lights on for consumers, keeping the prices down, and cutting emissions at the same time. It sounds almost misleadingly simple, but it's not. And this is maybe to your question, Benny, interconnection and the ASEAN Power Grid and interconnectivity and how it has served us in the UK. And I think this is probably the key role I see as a dialogue partner for us, is sharing the lessons that we've learned along the way, and how interconnection and connecting our power systems to our neighbors in Europe has served us well. And if you allow me, I'll start with a really brief story of how interconnection evolved in the UK. So we started in 1961, and we started really cautiously with a very small interconnector between the UK and France. It was 200 megawatts, and it was only used for backup. And then we stopped connecting to other power systems for 20 years. And those of you who have been around and listening to panels will hear this often quoted example of, oh, well, the ASEAN Power Grid has been around for 20 years. Well, in the the interconnection story in the UK hasn't been linear either, and it has also been messy. And then it started again in 1986 when the UK and France then built another bigger connector. So from 200 megawatts, we went to 2 gigawatts. And this is where it got really serious. And fast forward to now, we're actually trading electricity on pretty much an hourly basis with 6 of our neighbors. And it's reaching 10 gigawatts, and most of it is actually subsea. And why am I sharing this? It's because for us, it took almost 20 years to get from our very small interconnector to something bigger. It's because the tipping point was the UK-France interconnection. And from there, we started seeing more and more interconnectors being built, being added, and then turning into a huge network of subsea interconnectors. And I see ASEAN being exactly at that stage, at the tipping point, and actually thanks to Malaysia's leadership, it's that tipping point where we're actually starting to see progress. And interconnectors, in my view, have served us really well in meeting the energy trilemma that we talked about. So the security, the sustainability, and the affordability. On security, interconnectors have really helped us diversify our energy mix. So you will see in the UK, we have a lot of offshore wind, but we need baseload, right? And our interconnector, for example, to France gives us nuclear baseload. Our interconnector to Norway gives us hydropower baseload. And it has really helped during many of our cold winter evenings, let's say. And to the affordability, so we see energy security as diversification. To the affordability, some of our bigger links have saved our consumers a lot of money. So actually, the Nemo link, which was the first one with Belgium, has saved around 200 million to consumers in energy costs. And our interconnectors have allowed us to reduce our emissions on our grid network, actually around 100 million tons of CO2. So just back to your question, we see interconnection as important to our energy mix, helps us meet the energy trilemma domestically, and probably as our role as dialogue partner is to now share the lessons learned, the messiness of developing those, but also some of the harder lessons around how do you actually build the regulatory infrastructure and the genuine infrastructure on the seabed. So we're excited to support you on that journey. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. That is very good to learn that you are reading the ASEAN energy, although I think it's 7% during that time. And we are working on the next version to be launched in the Philippines next year. But the major document that we have, one of it, no, I turn back to you said, Mario, that the ASEAN Renewable Energy Long-Term Roadmap. So as described in this document, that ASEAN has a huge opportunity to advance our ASEAN energy transition, including promoting the role of renewable and new technology as well. We're talking about nuclear, we're talking about the hydrogen, we're talking about the biofuels. So how does the Philippines see this opportunity for the region, and then how this topic will be addressed as well to advance the ASEAN region next year?
Again, thank you very much for the question, Benny. But you see, we would like to take advantage of the renewable energy long-term roadmap. This is a pivotal opportunity for us, not only for the Philippines, but for the entire region, to harness more of what we have. We know that we have to diversify our energy resources. So that's why we open our hands in accepting different emerging and innovative technologies. Of course, you have mentioned nuclear technologies and others. We're looking at energy transition through re-engineering and repurposing of thermal facilities, like the use of ammonia, the use of hydrogen as alternative fuels. But while we aim for diversification, we will still continue our push for advanced and enhanced connectivity. And connectivity does not pertain to the physical connection in sharing electricity, but also connectivity in preserving what we have. That means sharing the resources, because we understand that not all member economies within the ASEAN have the same resources. Some are rich for one, and we have to address also the different challenges as far as our service provisions would be concerned, particularly our consumers. Affordability is one of the major issues. Provision of electricity, because it is still a big challenge for the ASEAN region to really provide complete electrification and energization of all areas. The Philippines alone is still facing a big task, and we need funding to really push for 100% electrification. Much more for countries like Philippines and Indonesia, who have many islands to energize and provide electricity services. So therefore, this diversity and difference in having what we have, but looking at the opportunities to enhance energy collaboration, integration among us, then we can push for the energy transition of the entire region. We're not looking at energy resources alone, but at us included in our target, energy efficiency and conservation is a must. It's a major component, and lowering by 40% our energy intensity would be a big challenge for all of us. So we need everyone's help to make the Philippines be a good leader and champion all these initiatives that we can push through, particularly when we transfer beyond 2016 the different chairmanship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yosek Mario. Thank you very much on that one. I return back to the point, Marina. That's going to be talking back on the issue of the ASEAN power grids. But now looking in more context of the point of view renewable energy. Malaysia geographical feature are unique for ASEAN, and given its border and proximity to Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, and others. Indeed, the Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore power interconnection project is up and running for the multilateral power trade in the region. So how does Malaysia see the ASEAN power grid as a regional project that will enable more and more cooperation for the more renewable energy adoption in the region?
Okay. Thank you, Benny. Actually, if you can remember, actually ASEAN Power Grid is not a new idea, I think as far as I can remember, ASEAN Power Grid has started, I think the ideas is way back, I think in 1990s. People already talk about ASEAN Power Grid during that time, So it has, I think it's a very long outstanding initiative that has been in our book, I think in every ASEAN countries, talking about ASEAN Power Grid. I think the first project, it was way back in 2018 during that time. 2016 or 2018 during that time when we first made the LTM, the Laos, Thailand, Malaysia. That was the first, I think, in terms of the power trading across border. And it was successfully done up to 100 megawatt at that point of time. And in terms of power trading, it's still based on the willing seller, willing buyer. There's no, confirm offtake and so on. Do you have access? Then you can trade. If the price is right, then you can trade. That is the principle of it. And it was proven during that time. It was not only a so-called a dream, but it has been a reality, technically and feasibly and commercially viable, to have the electricity power trade between Laos, Thailand, and Malaysia way back in 2018. And after that, we expand it, by including Singapore to the team. So, still, for the first phase, up to 100 megawatt, still willing seller and willing buyer. But then, recently, starting from 2022, then we start to talk about multilateral, you know. At first, the working group was saying like multi-directional, but I'm a bit, I criticize on that actually, because I think the direction is only one way, towards Singapore, not to other countries. So I think, okay, let us talk first about multilateral. Then we expand LTMS to the second phase by having not only LTMS, but also MS. If Laos cannot supply to Singapore, then Malaysia can do the supply to Singapore. So it become like multilateral. And we can see it that this project, LTMS, is actually very powerful because it proved to us it can be done. You know, it can be done. So at that time, we envisioned like something like, you know, the European region is all well integrated, you know. Like UK, I just told Ivana just now, I don't like United Kingdom model because to me it's like, oh, very messy, you know. I met off Jam actually. I said, oh, your model is very messy. Everything is like wholesale market, you know, very challenging. But for ASEAN countries, we start at a very different point, you know, because everybody is different, you know. We don't even have a one single currency that's accepted by, like in European, you have euros, you know, is well accepted within the European region, but not in ASEAN. We are different. And we started at a very different point, and we can see that it was very challenging, you know, especially in terms of harmonizing the technicality of it, you know. Laos have a very different system, you know. The capacity also is different. Same goes to Thailand, same goes to Malaysia. And we realized that there's a point of time that we need to harmonize everything, you know, in terms of regulatory, in terms of the technicality and so on. So, but to us, we are very proud of LTM and LTMS because it proves something to us that it can be done. So to answer your question, Benny, actually Malaysia, geographically, Malaysia is in a very unique position in the ASEAN region, you know. Because we share our borders together with Thailand, together with Singapore, and I hope soon that we also can share together with Indonesia, you know, because it's not that far actually for Indonesia. So, but if you can see at the Borneo Island, it's already connected between Malaysia and Indonesia because Sarawak has been supplying to Kalimantan for 300 megawatt. And we are going to expand that as well, you know, the interconnection. So it is possible, you know, it is possible under ASEAN Power Grid. And we believe that also the success of ASEAN Power Grid is not solely rely on ASEAN member state, only ASEAN member state, because we get the support from our dialogue partners, we get the support from our international organization, you know. Many of these, our partners and our international organization like IEA, and then IRENA, you know, they have been doing all these studies and they have been helping us, you know, sharing knowledge, sharing experience. So that make us, I think, I believe we have a good team, you know, together with ASEAN to make APG is a successful initiative for the region. So I hope that under the chairmanship of Philippines can push more compared to Malaysia to make it, you know, we already have the blueprint, the roadmap, and this is a time for us to talk about implementation, I mean, the reality of it, you know, for you to implement all the APG initiative. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you very much, Tuan. A lot of things to unpack on the ASEAN Power Grid, but let me go to another topic first. Back to the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, APAEC 2026 to 2030. Part of the team is also on a just and inclusive transition, right? So address to any panel would like to respond on that. How do you see ASEAN from inside, from the Philippines, from the Malaysia perspective, or from the outside, from the UK perspective, that can collectively work on our energy cooperation, not only to accelerate the transition, bringing more renewable energy, but also to guarantee fairness so that we can provide a clean and secure energy for everyone in the region. Open question to all the panel, I mean, from the ASEAN inside point of view, Philippines or Malaysia, or from our dialogue partner point of view. Anyone would like to start first? There are two ladies on the
Go on, please.
Okay. Apparently, it's the reverse. I thought I'm the gentleman. They are the gentlewomen. Well, thank you very much. Well, energy transition cannot be achieved by one country alone. And as I mentioned earlier, it is apparent that within the ASEAN community, there is a big diverse on the energy resources that we have. In that sense, interconnectivity would be one among that will help us attain our target as a whole. You see, what may be lacking in the Philippines may be present in the other countries in neighboring. Therefore, I need not generate more on renewable energy if my other country neighbor can provide me those renewable energy, and vice versa. Yeah. Also, interconnectivity does not necessarily mean that we, as I mentioned also earlier, it's not necessarily physical interconnection, but it's the integration and collaboration among us, having a common mechanism on how to achieve the energy and just transition that we wish to achieve. We should have a common goal of opening up all the available technologies that may be benefited by all the member countries, and it is with an open dialogue and complete thorough understanding among all the members. There could be a leader, there could be a champion, but let me put an analogy in that. If some of you, not necessarily the young one, you know Voltes 5. Individually, the parts of the Voltes 5 may be already strong, but they cannot really achieve much. But once they bolt in, nothing is impossible. So I see ASEAN community just the same. Even if each and every member economies have their own strength, the real strength comes from the integration and collaboration among the members. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek. Next, Juan first.
I mean, I could add a little bit about so how we've managed a just and inclusive transition in the UK, because we've also undergone our own transition, especially in the North Sea, where we've managed a transition. We are managing the transition actually from oil and gas industries into renewable industries like hydrogen, like offshore wind, like carbon capture, utilization and storage. And the key learning that two key learnings in that transition. The first one is the need to demonstrate the benefits of the transition to local communities. So again, in the North Sea, we actually, together, so government and industry, focused quite a lot on retraining and reskilling and into the new jobs of the future. So an oil and gas engineer, for example, moving into CCUS or hydrogen, very similar skill set, even for subsea interconnectors, very similar skill set. So it's about having a plan and a managed transition and reskilling, retooling the workforce. The second one is actually capturing the meaningful benefits that come with the new industries, like manufacturing, like services. And again, the transition comes with a lot of opportunities. Certainly in Southeast Asia, a manufacturing hub for so many of the key components to the energy transition. And in the UK, we're trying to do exact same. So it's about retooling, reskilling the workforce, demonstrating the benefits, tangible benefits in terms of new skills and jobs, as well as attracting the investment and building up the industries together with communities.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One would like to add as well?
A short one, just many. A just and a fair transition. What does it mean by that? To me, a fair means accessible. You can get the supply. The people, and it's affordable. Sometimes you can have a very ambitious projects. Very costly, but the people can't afford it. So and also reliable, affordable, accessible, and reliable. So these are the three things, and it is not easy actually for you to strike the balance. Same goes like when you have like energy trilemma, security, affordability, and sustainability. I think all in this room are fully aware what does it mean by that. But for us to strike the balance is a challenge, because as we are fully aware, each ASEAN member state starting with a different point, is a different point. And these are the things that we need to work out. Moving forward, it needs to be harmonized, so that what the outcome is a very fair and just, and that can benefit the people. So it is not only for a reason like, to benefit some of the users like commercial or industries, but most importantly, it can be felt by all the people within the region, so they can feel there's a benefit for them. From there only you can, when you have a very reliable supply, then only you can have a spillover of the economic activities, creating more jobs to the people, and then you can boost, income in the country and so on. So these are the things that I think way forward, there's a lot of work to do actually for us to make APG is a reality. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you. I think you want that to be. We have around 6 minutes left on the session. Maybe I can also ask all three panelists. That's going to be. We're discussing a lot on the ASEAN power grids, right? But in APAEC itself, it's one of the 7 program area that we are looking for. Right? Puan Marina mentioned that ASEAN countries, 10 countries, are very diverse. It has its own challenge. It has its own situation. And while some countries blessed with renewable energies, other countries is blessed with fossil fuels. Some countries is advanced, but some countries is on a development on that one. So if I may ask to each of the panelists, then this might be also a concluding remark, considering the limitation of time that we have, that how ASEAN should do in embarking our new chapter on energy cooperation. So how we can ensure that all topics, all options is addressed equally important on that one. How we can make sure that the trilemma that Puan mentioned, or how we can make sure the just energy transition is equally addressed at the same time we are addressing the concern on energy security at the national level, but collectively as a region, as also with our partner. So if I may invite everyone to have 1 minute, 1.5 minutes comment, which is also a closing statement for our session on as we are looking at new pace of the energy cooperation in the ASEAN region. Shall we start with this side first?
Sure, happy to try. So I think, even in Europe, we talk about multi-speed collaboration, right? So different countries go at different speeds, but the crux of it is not harmonization, but alignment. So alignment of interests, alignment of common and shared goals, and it's actually fine to move at different speeds as long as the destination is clear. And to me, the destination is clear for ASEAN, and you have a roadmap as well. So the second one, I think, is very much trying to align and focus on the delivery and putting together I call it a mixture of the bold and the boring. So the boring being the words I'm going to mention are very boring, but it's absolutely essential. Things like regulation, governance, and the institutions that underpin that, as well as things like procurement practices, and understanding where ASEAN together as a community is stronger. And I think that definitely sharing renewable resources, sharing expertise, sharing knowledge and experience makes ASEAN a stronger community. And it's understanding where that is, that I think is what has served us well in Europe and the UK, certainly.
Thank you, and we look forward to collaboration with UK to support us. Yeah. Yusek Maria, please.
Thank you very much. I believe that the ASEAN community is being governed by solidarity and cooperation, right? We may have different opportunities, different resources, and if we go to the energy sector, we have also different situations, not only in terms of electrification, but primarily on energy resources we have. But through sharing, through openness, transparency, and cooperation, collaboration among us, I think, and I believe, borrowing from our minister's statement, that ASEAN is characterized by unity in diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek Maria. Puan Marina?
Okay, to answer your question, Benny, 4 steps. The first one, you need to embrace APAEC. APAEC is actually your national journey, you know. You cannot treat APAEC as a different document. You know, you need to embrace it, each one of the country. Okay, then only you can, because APAEC is our guiding principle, our blueprint that we need to follow through whatever that have in the APAEC. That is the first one. Secondly, is actually a strong coordination. Who's going to do that? That is the answer. Who's going to do the coordination? There are 10 ASEAN member states. I believe Timor-Leste will come in, you know. So who are we going to give that task? The coordination task. Will it be ASEAN Secretariat? Or will it be ACE who's going to coordinate? Because through strong coordination, then only you can have a very successful monitoring. You know, without coordination, it will not help, you know. And thirdly is the implementation. How are you going to do, to implement all the APG initiative? Because to me, when you want to develop an APG initiative, the first thing is definitely is about investment and funding, and also technologies. Then when all our DP, our dialogue partners and international organization play its role. You need to have a strong collaboration, strong networking with the DPIOs in terms of the implementation. Yeah. And finally, the fourth step, the last one, is the political will. You know, you don't have the political will, you can't do it. This is a different country, you know, it's among different countries. Therefore, only you have a strong political will, then only it can bring together and you can turn the vision into a reality. That is my answer. It needs the 4 steps.
Right. So thank you very much, Pak Marina. That's encompassing 4 steps. Maybe I start first. The 0 step, please download the APAEC document and RE long-term roadmap in the website. But the ASEAN Center for Energy is guided by the ASEAN member states to support the implementation of this regional blueprint with the strong support from our partner, from dialogue partners, so together in this journey to achieve this common goal. Let's conclude the session that we have. Let's join me to thanks and congratulate of all of our panel, Puan Marina Mahfud, Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Energy Transition and Water Transformation, PETRA Malaysia, Undersecretary of Department of Energy Philippines, Mr. Mario Marasigan, and also Ivana Dimitria, Southeast Asia Regional Lead, Energy and Industrial Decarbonization of the British High Commission in Singapore. Thank you very much for your valuable expertise, and thank you very much for all of the audience.
Right, thank you, Pak Benny, for moderating that wonderful panel session, and thank you to our panelists for that insightful session. Do stand by for the photo session. I would like to invite our panelists and moderator to please take us a few steps forward on stage to stand by for the group photo session together.